So we can divide what the prophets brought to us. It can be divided into two. The knowledge of metaphysical realities of this universe. I will enumerate them later on. And number two, the practical guidance, the do's and don'ts, which we call the awamir and nawahi. These are the ahkam sharia. These are the rules of the sharia, which you have to follow and observe. But now the term iman is reserved for the first type of the teachings of the Prophet. This iman, although technically it includes, everything that was brought by the prophets, but it is reserved in usage for the knowledge of the metaphysical realities and truths which the prophets alayhimus salatu wassalam, they brought. And again, another point, there have been differences between the practical guidance and the sharia of different prophets of Allah, different messengers of Allah. As we know, the sharia of Musa alayhi salatu wassalam and the sharia of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, there are minor differences. The form of prayer that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prescribed for us, 5 prayers a day, and the form, in every rakah, the sequence of the events, that is different from the prayer that was prescribed for the former ummah. In the same way, we know the different rules of psalm, fasting. The rules for the former ummah were different, and the rules for this ummah are different. They had no concept of sahri, suhoor, to eat during the night. Once they went to sleep, their psalm, their fasting began. But here in our sharia, there is emphasis. Tasahharu, fa inna fi suhoor barakah. Must eat something before dawn, because in this eating and drinking before dawn, there is barakah. So there is a fundamental difference between the rules of sharia of Moses alayhi salatu wasalam, and sharia of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So regarding the practical guidance, there have been differences, but regarding the metaphysical truths, there has been no difference whatsoever. It's the same from Adam alayhi salatu wasalam till Edom. Edom in Persian means this time. From Adam till Edom, or you may say specifically from Adam to Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam wa sallallahu alayhi wasallam, there has been no difference whatsoever in the metaphysical truths which were revealed by these prophets. That is to say, the subject matter of iman has been the same, although the practical guidance has been changing. Now we come to the third subject. What is the subject matter of iman? And this is important as well as interesting. And I have to make a few preliminary points first. Number one, there are 2 types of human beings. There have always been 2 types of human beings. There are 2 types of human beings, and there will always be 2 types of human beings. Most of the people, most of the humans, they are followers. In whichever society they are born, they accept the norms of that society. They don't question them. Why do we believe in this? They accept whatever their parents believe, and they start, in the journey of their life. They don't question. How do you believe it? And why do you believe it? And why should I accept anything only because you believe in those things? I must know the truth for myself. So actually, most of the people, here again I'm using the same expression, 99.9 recurrent % of people in this world have always been, are today, and will ever be followers. They follow. They don't question. They don't criticize. They don't demand arguments. But there have always been and will always be, although in minority, a microscopic minority, some people who question, why should I believe this? How come? How do you believe these things? So these people, you may call them, the intellectuals, although they are a microscopic minority. Actually, they are the pacemakers. They strive to get the truth for themselves, to have the knowledge for themselves. They make research, then they argue, they make a comparative study. Then whatever they accept, it is usually followed by others. Let me give you two examples, rather three examples. And let me start from the East. Imagine, who was Siddhartha Gautama Buddha, a prince, and living in a palace, brought up in a palace. He was the would-be king of that kingdom. That was quite a big kingdom. But that was a person of that type. He started thinking, what we believe, is it correct? Especially, why is there suffering in this world? He saw a blind man who was born blind. What was his fault? Why he was born blind? And he saw, an infant dying, and the parents standing by the side of that infant. Can't do anything. They know our beloved child is going, but they can't do anything. All this suffering, can there be any salvation? Can man be saved from this suffering? So that was the starting point of his inquiry into the reality and truth. What are the basic truths of this universe? So that was the reason why he left his palace. At the prime of his youth, he was 30 years old, married, left wife sleeping, and an infant son was also sleeping by the side of the mother. All the things, which a person loves in this world. The comforts and luxuries of the palace, a young wife, and now an infant son also. Left everything, went out into the wilderness. This is the word of the Bible, a cry from the wilderness. It is used for Hazrat Yahya alayhi salatu wassalam. So he went into wilderness. And how many years? For about 40 years, he kept roaming about to this rishi and to this muni and to this learned person and to this person. Now I don't know exactly the conclusions which he reached, and we can't say, because there are different sects of the Buddhists, and all of them, ascribe different things to Buddha. And because he belongs to an era before Christ, so it's very difficult, and that his teachings are, preserved. So I only wanted to give an example. There have been people who want to know the things for themselves, to have a direct knowledge of the basic truths of this universe. And they can sacrifice everything for that. The comforts of a palace, the luxuries of a palace. They would be the future, that he would be the king or the ruler of that kingdom. But he gave up everything to have the knowledge of the reality. Now let me give to the West. It's a well-known fact, you must be knowing. What happened to Socrates? Socrates. He was a thinker, a philosopher. He didn't accept what the society believed. He thought himself, he pondered over those things himself. He argued with himself. Then he reached certain conclusions. And then he started preaching. This is what I believe. To me, it appears it is like that, not according to what you believe. So there was, a controversy in the society. And then the society reacted. He was, he had to appear in a court. And the verdict of the court was, we can allow you to believe in anything you like, but we can't allow you to preach. We can't give you the freedom to challenge our beliefs and our, ideas.